Chapter number 4. Feng Shui has a very ancient tradition. It is arrived recently in Occident because of a diaspora between Feng Shui masters. They escaped beyond the boundaries after the coming of the communist repression, secretly bringing the remains of ancient books and knowledge, most of them destroyed. Many of them once arrived in freer countries of the Asiatic South, rewrote by memory what they remembered about this deep tradition. Hong Kong is one of the towns where most of the ancient classic knowledge arrived. Here you still find ancient original books written by hand or authentic reprints. However, this tragic event gave the possibility to Occident to begin knowing this ancient knowledge that created many motivating forces in the planning and architectonic sphere. Long ago, classic Feng Shui books were found with effort, and they were very cryptic due to imperial troubles. Indeed, they were destined to the insider, written by disciples that listened to masters. Today, thanks to the continuous translating work, overall in Hong Kong, full much classic knowledge have been brought to light. However, this ancient study can be well used only if you are followed by a good master that hands down the tradition, not just the modalities or the rules, but how to apply them. In my opinion, Feng Shui is a wonderful study to take into consideration and to enlarge in architectonic sphere with all the modern knowledge about sustainability, in order to use it in all parts of the world like the answer to the challenge of the environment complexity. In this period, humankind is facing the responsibility to find a correct and equilibrated behavior with the exploitation of their resources. The lack of a global vision in which each of us is a unity in direct correlation with everything, and the idea that there is abundance for everyone, is the cause of pollution. The non-consciousness of these two principles determines a weave of fears and reciprocal control that is the biggest pollution existing. To be conscious of the interdependence in the relationship man-environment in the future will bring a holistic planning modality, both in construction and urban sphere. Particularly in this seat, we will try to put the first basis of a holistic and conscious architectonic approach. Observe now this scheme or paradigm, borrowed by architect Howard Choi, an important studios and researcher of the relationship between architecture and Feng Shui. I took the paradigm you can see in the picture like fundamental model to define the basis of architecture Feng Shui, which enlarges the magnetic and territorial knowledge specific of Feng Shui. Indeed, with this term, a lot of ancient and modern knowledge is gathered, overall oriented to a holistic living approach, knowledge that results very useful overall for a sensitive formation in the planning, landscape and the architectonic sphere. Let us start observing upward left this black dot representing the vacuum. That is what stands inside creation. This vacuum later generates the 10,000 things. This is the manifestation represented through the Tai Chi symbol about which we talked before. The manifestation can be interpreted and felt through different resonances. These were catalogued in 5 energetic phases, whose are called 5 elements. These energetic phases, or 5 elements, determined by a convention done by Chinese sages, express the vital cycle around us. The elements can have further specific resonances in different levels. In our interest field, we will observe the levels linked to landscape and architecture, like the forms, the substances, the functions, the orientations, and the colors. This codification is necessary to enter in the 3 great ways. The first way is called the way of the sky. The black clue bowl yin, expresses its non-visible part. The white one, yang, expresses the visible. In respect to the sky effects, we got macroscopic and thin aspects. The sky is a big clock working around and inside us with its planets, and its effects are macroscopic by nature, like the tides, even by the moon, or the variations of the agricultural cultures, linked as well to the formation of the sunspots. Indeed, the wine growers know that the quality of the wine is linked as well to the influence of the sunspot of that year, as in every agricultural culture is well known the influence of the moon cycles in the sowing period. These are macro effects having a direct impact with the visible earth. Instead, the thin aspect is determined by the fact that the planetary system got an interference to human sphere in non-visible levels. Surely, according to many scientists, this assertion is not considered reliable. However, in ancient time, planetary system was valued as a set of forces interacting with man's life. In my opinion, this statement got much sense if seen by the point of view of magnetic interaction between planets and human body. This important key probably will be comprehended in future. Magnetism is not simply a physical force, but a set of channels that carries information. Indeed, every planet is perceptibly linked and is visible through electromagnetic fields. If we ask to a scientist how stars and planets in the sky got some interaction with the Earth, he will answer that there is few influence in the illumination level. But if you ask him if exists an influence between the electromagnetic fields, for example in our solar system, the answer will be definitely. A magnetic change of Jupiter is noticed with tools on the Earth. Here is the key that explains how so many astrology and numerology studies, unpopular in academic areas, have their own practical groundwork. It is necessary to go beyond a superficial analysis of the things. Otherwise, it is impossible understanding the value of many ancient studies that considered time in cyclic phases, determining moment by moment a set of magnetic equilibriums. Then, if man is composed by electromagnetic fields too, that are vehicle of information, like the acupuncture meridians, and if the Earth is composed by magnetic field connected with the whole solar system, will be possible an interaction between all these things through a specific resonant frequency that informs the cells of our body. During this course, we will try to discover it, and the studies of Dr. Mikhail Tzadin will help us. We will look overall how all the aspects of the sky influence us and our house, which was built in a specific moment and in a specific position. Returning to our scheme, if we look downward, we find the Earth way that differentiates itself in its visible aspects, the white dot, and non-visible, the black dot. Obviously, the visible aspects comprise the visible morphology of a landscape or a building, with its shapes, colors, proportions, materials, and so on. Instead, the invisible aspects are linked to the sensations we feel in a site or in a space. Feeling a particular ambience in a site or in an architectonic environment cannot be listed so easy. Insofar, the sensation is given by an interrelation between several non-visible cooperating causes. So, during these online courses, we will understand how, behind the invisible, there is a set of anecdotes and schemes well defined that creates a specific effect. Returning to our scheme, in the middle we see the man way in its visible and invisible aspects. Man stands between these two polarities, heaven and earth, interacted with the multiple forces that surround him, aware of him, the white dot, and not aware of him, the black dot. The landscape, the climate, the urban conformation, his own living and furnished space, influences man in a direct way, stimulating him toward a set of choices and conscious regards, but also in an indirect way, that is influencing it through hidden signs concealed inside the space we live in. With this objective in mind, we will see together several studies which draws on from ancient and modern knowledge, like for example physiognomy, semiotic, proxemics, inner Feng Shui, the colors effects, the effects of the furnished typology, the psychological marketing studies, and so on. All these studies will be useful to dress with care the architectonic project inside the customer target you aim to. Once understood the synergies of heaven and earth, also the architect with the holistic approach, like a tailor, must use them to dress his own customer as if they were a dress. A planning of Feng Shui architecture must always consider these three levels that will be integrate as much as possible to reach the best equilibrium and harmony condition. If you succeed in such a challenge, the vacuum resonance that stands inside everything will recreate itself.